All right, I think we're going to get going. Thank you all for coming here today. We're really excited. Welcome to the 8th annual Silicon Couloir Pitch Day event. First of all, I want to say that it's brought to you by our sponsors, the Wyoming Business Council, PirateShip.com, and BXE Capital. So thank you very much to those guys. You'll get to see some of them presenting awards and getting up on the stage and taking part in the process as we go along. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gary Trauner, and I am the Executive Director of Silicon Couloir. And for those of you who don't know who we are right now, don't yet know who we are, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, a regional Tetons organization, and we are focused on empowering local entrepreneurs as well as in our community to harness the power of business to achieve our bigger community vision. That's what we're all about. We've got an awesome program put together today, and we'll get to see that quickly. But before we do that, there's some housekeeping notes that I want to talk about that are important because you're part of this program as well. So just pay attention for a couple seconds. You'll notice on today's agenda that we've got a lot of content packed into a short period of time. We want to respect your time, get you in, have a great time, ask some great questions, see some great presentations by some incredible panelists, and then get you out so you can enjoy the rest of your evening. You will be able to ask questions. You can text those in. There'll be instructions on the screen, so when that time comes, please make sure to pay attention because audience questions is a big part of what we want to do here. You'll also be able to vote on your favorite presentation. And there is an award called the Audience Choice Award. So please make sure that you do vote. That's an important thing. You'll be part of this. You'll have a voice in who you like and who you want to win cash prizes. So that's pretty important as well. Finally, there's going to be a cocktail hour afterwards. So we keep this down to about 6 o'clock at the end. And then from a little bit after 6 till 7 o'clock, there's a cocktail hours. Each of the presenters and companies is going to have their own cocktail table, and you can go talk with them, meet with them, learn more about their company, dig in a little bit more, ask questions. That's the whole idea of this, is to network and get them exposed to you and get you exposed to them. So why Pitch Day and why Silicon Couloir? Well, for me, it starts with one of my favorite quotes from a sociologist, Margaret Mead, who said that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So yeah, I broke the rules here because you're not supposed to put this many words on a PowerPoint slide, but I did. Because they're important words. We told all of our presenters not to do this. But they're important, and I think it's important for a reason. How can we affect change? Well, it's pretty clear that whether we like it or not, business, the private sector, is perhaps the most influential area or sector in our communities today. We're a capitalist society, and the private sector has a lot of sway. And so, you know, it seems to me, if you look at this from the Business Roundtable, which is composed of some of the biggest CEOs of the biggest companies in the world, they've finally seen the light. They've learned what a lot of local entrepreneurs know, that doing good business in your community is good for your company. And so they've come out with an updated statement where they've committed to investing in their employees. They've committed to supporting their local communities, and they've committed to supporting the environment by embracing sustainable practices. That, to me, is a sea change, and it's something I would have hoped they would have seen sooner, because again, as local entrepreneurs, and I've been an entrepreneur myself, we know that. We know if we take care of folks in our community, they're going to take care of our businesses. And we live in an incredibly special place. It's got its challenges, housing, transportation, and we've got the highest level of inequality of any county in the country. Those are huge challenges. But I think maybe the most important challenge that we have to face is how do we steward the natural beauty and natural resources that drew most of us here, and which I believe we have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of just for its own sake, but also for future generations, not just of locals, but literally of people around the globe. That's how special this place is. And how do we do that? Well, you can see a couple of quotes up there. The bottom one is by someone who's not famous, which is me. But the word entrepreneur actually comes from a 13th century French word, and it means to do something or to undertake. In other words, it means to take action. So you know what? Words are not good enough. We believe the way to ensure a bright future for our community and for the people who choose to live here, for the wild lands that surround us, for the untamed wildlife that inhabits those lands, is to cultivate entrepreneurship, to take action, to align the private sector with our community values. Pitch Day today is a showcase for 6 local entrepreneurs, and by the way, all the volunteer coaches who also help them through this process with untold hours of practice, who are indeed taking action while honoring both Silicon Couloir's vision and, more importantly, the ethos of the Tetons region. Our hope is that through these 6 incredible entrepreneurs, all of us here today will be inspired to do our part, whether it's through the private sector or otherwise, to caretake our local community, and in the entrepreneurial spirit, to take action. Because we can all do good by doing well, and we can all do well by doing good. So in that vein, I'd like to introduce one of our platinum sponsor, PirateShip.com. I'd like to introduce Lexi Borselman from Pirate Ship, and she's going to say a few words on how Silicon Couloir has made a difference for their company and why they think we're a driver in this community. So Lexi, come on up.
Ahoy there, you scallywags. My name is Lexi, and I'm the Chief Customer Officer for Pirate Ship. Based here in Jackson Hole, we're the fastest growing shipping startup in the country. We help e-commerce compete by offering the deepest discounts available so that they can stay competitive in an otherwise stagnant marketplace. Our fun piratey software has completely disrupted the shipping industry. I invite you to go to pirateship.com right now to chat our world-class customer support to get a pirate joke to see what I mean. We're extremely proud to sponsor Silicon Couloir because we believe that startups are the future of big business in Wyoming. Look out, Cole. We've benefited immensely from the expertise of the incredible mentors behind the team's mentorship program, and the chance meetings are always a highlight each month. Jackson Hole is a place where many come to pursue an alternative lifestyle, and business is no different. We wanted something beyond the 9-to-5 grind, and what they don't tell you is that when you trade the 9-to-5, you get the 24/7. But I guess that's just the price to pay for being able to answer emails from the ski lift. We're super thankful for Silicon Couloir and the amazing support that we've received from them and the incredible community that we've met because of them. I'll see you again at the end of the night to award the grand prize to one of these incredible companies. So without further ado, let's hear some pitches, and good luck.
So, and now, without further ado, we're going to invite up one of our founding board members and a coach and someone who's involved with the Startup Intensive and really has been integral to Silicon Couloir and everything we're trying to do from the beginning. And she's going to introduce the panelists and say a couple of words, let you know who our esteemed panelist team is, and then get right to the first presenter. So without further ado, Liza Millett, thanks, come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Liza Millett, and I'm one of the co-founders of Silicon Couloir. And it's awesome to be back at the center for our 8th Silicon Couloir Pitch Day. This means, I did the math, and it means that we've had 48 entrepreneurs from Jackson, Driggs, Victor, Alpine, and Pinedale share their stories with you over the last 8 years, and that's pretty awesome. But to pause for a minute and think back, when the concept of Silicon Couloir was forming, back 8-9 years ago, Jackson looked a lot differently than it does today. For those that haven't blocked it from their mind, we were in a recession, and there were 5 pages of available housing in the paper and 1 page of jobs. And with many great people leaving the valley to find meaningful work, helping foster entrepreneurship and creating good jobs was a really important topic. So it's wonderful to see so many of you here supporting our local entrepreneurial community. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you're ready to hear some really inspiring new business ideas from passionate founders who are risking really stability and a steady paycheck for their dreams of a big future. And these 6 presenters were chosen out of a pool of candidates in June and have worked hard over the last 2 months to hone their business presentations and their business models. And our amazing group of coaches, who are all volunteers, had a big hand in helping them through this process. and we're very grateful for their support. I'd like to introduce our wonderful panel. I'll start with Deborah Benton. Deb shares her time between Jackson and Southern California. She's the founding partner of Cactus Capital. And Cactus is a new early-stage venture fund focused on branded consumer and tech companies. It's really the perfect investment space for Deb's background, as she's been a COO of several consumer-facing companies in the past. Dave Brown is an early-stage venture capitalist and angel investor, and he has deep experience as an investor, having invested in over 60 companies and funds over the last several years. His expertise is really in social media, software, financial services, and clean tech, and Dave moved to Jackson full-time in 2014. Vivian Georgalis works for the Wyoming Business Council, and she helps coordinate and develop programs that support Wyoming entrepreneurs. She was instrumental in the Wyoming Kickstart program that launched last fall and awarded up to $50,000 in unrestricted grants to promising new Wyoming businesses, several of which are in our area. I can't tell you how important that funding was to many of them. Vivian lives in Laramie, but we're excited she could join us today. Carter Higley moved here to Jackson full-time in 2018, and he's the co-founder and CEO of Bison Interests. And Bison invests primarily in the public oil and gas marketplace. Christine Miele is a former investment banker for Bank of America and JP Morgan. She moved to Jackson in early 2018 and is an active angel investor. And she also is the founder and CEO of Yoga Minded. And last but not least, we have Dakin Sloss, and Dakin is the founder and general partner of Prime Mover Labs. Prime invests at the seed stage in breakthrough scientific inventions like space, artificial intelligence, gene therapy, advanced physics, and a lot of things that are way over my head. But Dakin he's also a successful entrepreneur, and he founded and scaled 3 companies before the age of 30 and has been named a Forbes Top 30 Under 30 Energy Entrepreneur. And he moved to Jackson full-time last year, and it's great to have him as part of the Silicon Core ecosystem. The panel, as you can tell, really packs a punch today, and we're so lucky to have them all here. And now onto the prizes. We're super excited to announce that we were able to increase prizes this year, and the grand prize today is a Panel's Choice Award of $7,500 cash. Our panel will vote based on the following 4 criteria: most compelling business idea, likelihood for success, best chance of getting funded, and strength of presentation. So they'll be deciding at the end of the pitch. And of course, you all will choose the Audience Choice Award tonight, which is a cash prize of $2,500 plus 6 months of free use of our co-work space on East Broadway. Voting will happen at the very end of the program, but keep these earlier criteria in mind so you can use them to vote for your favorite idea. And for the second year, we're honored to award the Bob Arndt Community Caretaker Award in the memory of Bob and his caretaking of the Jackson community. The winner for this will earn a spot in our team's mentoring program, a very coveted spot, as well as $1,000 in cash. So while the panel will ask the majority of questions, we'd also like to encourage your questions, as Gary said. And if you look at the screen, it gives you instructions on how to do that. Again, it's not case sensitive, but make sure you text 27126 with PD question and then your question. And they'll all get sent over to Will today, and he'll announce them. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our first presenter. Please welcome Chris Dickey, the CEO of Visibly.
Thanks so much, Liza. I guess Gary decided that I was going to be the opening band tonight and get to warm you all up. Thanks, Gary. But I wanted to start with a question, and It's a question that is a question, but when you guys have a question, what do you do? Any question. Do you go to the library? Do you grab the yellow pages, flip through them? Maybe you phone a friend. No, you don't do any of that. You pull up your phone, you turn your computer, and you type your question into a search engine, probably Google. Google actually fields 5.5 billion such questions every single day. That's 1,000 million questions times 5.5 every 24 hours, which effectively makes Google the #1 platform in the world for product discovery. For marketers, what does that mean? It means that it is the #1 platform in the world for new customer acquisition. So great news, right? There's one platform in the world where you can feed all of your new customer acquisition. Well, not that fast. It's really, really challenging to get decent traction on Google, and this is why. What you're looking at here is a distribution of traffic for the first page of Google. And what you'll see is these first 4 areas. This is your featured snippet, which is your answer box, and then the first 3 organic links. That's going to command about 65% of all the traffic for any given keyword set. By the end of the first page, you're down around 1% of all the traffic for any keyword. There's effectively no traffic on the second page of Google. So let's break that down a little bit further. For searches of commercial intent, that is people who are looking to buy products, looking for reviews or looking for advice, product services, what have you. These are most likely the types and categories of sites that show up in the first page of search. You have your paid media. This is this is big business. This is buying your way onto the front page of Google. This is $34 billion a year that's spent on Google Ads and shopping. You have your brand-owned media, right? Like that's your SEO work, your search engine optimization. The idea that you can you can work on the content on your own website and get it to bubble up to the top of search. The problem is that both of these tactics are really low yield. At best, a paid advertisement does about 2% of all the traffic on a page, and most SEO work, you're never getting onto the front page of Google, at least for your top keyword sets. So that leads these other 2 areas, earned media and e-commerce. Earned media is the idea of PR hits, that's reviews, it's journalism. There's a lot of it at the top of Google search. And then you also have e-com, that's the Amazons and the REIs out there. So my name is Chris Dickey. I'm the founder and CEO of Visibly. We are a software as a solution platform that provides the world's first platform that will identify, organize, and track brand presence across all of these channels on the first page of search, every single link. Let me show you how it works. So this is essentially our search engine. What you do is you plop your primary keyword in the top bubble. This is the keyword that you're tracking. You want to see how your customers find you. Then your secondary keyword goes in right here. This is probably going to be your product or brand. And what we're going to do is we're going to scrape every single link on that primary keyword phrase for that secondary keyword and see where your brand exists. So then we come up with a dashboard that looks something like this. For the purposes of this presentation, we looked at best fleece jacket, because we all wear fleece jackets in Jackson. And what I like about this keyword is that it's non-branded. And somebody who's typing this keyword in, there's a high intent to buy. So you're not really shooting shotguns in the dark and hoping to hit something. And then we're going to cross-analyze it against Patagonia as a brand. And then we're going to provide a relative score. How well is Patagonia doing on the page? That's an algorithm that's weighted based on your position on the page and the amount of brand value that has. And then we have 4 buckets of earned media, paid media, brand owned, and e-com. And within those 4 channels, we're going to provide share of voice metrics, and that where your brand is located. And then we have this thing called opportunity score, which is effectively how much opportunity is there across the entire page for this type of media. It's nothing to do with your brand. And then over here, we have this thing we call Visibly Map, and that's a visualization of where your brand exists on the page. And it's pretty cool. You don't have to click through any of the links. We're going to tell you right away where Patagonia lives. Right at the top, we see Patagonia has 1 ad. This page is dominated by PR, and Patagonia is in every single hit. It's crazy. There's 1 e-commerce hit. Patagonia is in it. There's no brand-owned media on this page. Patagonia.com does not even rank for best fleece jackets. Nothing. But when people are asked the question, what's the best fleece jacket, the internet is overwhelmingly telling them Patagonia. Stio, brand that we all know and love, based here in Jackson. It's a great example for this. Cross-analyze against the exact same search. Stio has a unique business model. They're only direct to consumer, so you can't walk into a shop and find a Stio jacket. So they have their marketing department is constantly thinking, how do we acquire new customers? How do we even get on their radar? Well, Google could be a tremendous platform for Stio. The problem is that they don't exist anywhere on this page. And it's not necessarily a commentary on Stio. It's a commentary on the fact that there's 0 platforms that provide this service. And quite simply, you cannot improve what you cannot measure. So how does this work? Everything I just showed you is free. You can show up and use it for free. It's a freemium subscription model, I suppose. So we do ask for your email and that sort of thing. And then where we start making money is where when you want to track many keywords over time. So at that point, most marketers will have dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of keywords that they need to simultaneously track and organize. And that's where our subscription model begins. Down here is kind of what we're projecting in terms of we're using the freemium model to drive the premium subscriptions, and that's I think a pretty actually conservative number of attraction for users. So who's behind this? Everyone on this page has a financial interest in Visibly. I'm the founder and CEO. I own a PR agency here in Jackson Hole. This was a strategy that we built for our own clients years ago. We've been incubating it with our own clients for years. It's been the most valuable thing that we do for them. It's been incredible. And there's been a frustration of mine that there's no automation for it. Our engineering is being led by a guy from AWS. We have a PhD data scientist that's leading our machine learning and AI. We're building a proprietary AI that is helping auto-classify the sites. So how do you determine what is an earned media site from an owned media site? And well, we're going to have machines do that for us. And then we have a really great advisory panel from Zillow and Abodo.com. So that concludes my presentation, and I'd love to take some questions.
Thanks, Chris. That was a great presentation. I'm curious, in your experience working in your own agency, how much do people need this on an ongoing basis? Is there a lot of change that's happening, for example, on the best fleece jacket search? And like if I was a customer, why would I continuously use this versus just one time?
Google's updating their algorithm all the time. And they're bumping sites down and bumping new sites up. I'd say like daily, if not weekly. I'd say at very minimum weekly, but yeah, it needs to be tracked on a daily basis.
Can you talk more about who your customers are?
Yeah, absolutely. So brand marketers, marketing agencies, PR agencies, there's actually a lot of kind of potential use cases for this software. One that we're not really focused on right now, but I think has a big potential is just for keyword analysis. Right now, for keywords, there's really, really basic metrics, like how many people are searching a phrase. That's really all we know. We don't have any kind of breakdown about what kind of media is showing up on that page, and that's really going to inform your strategy as a marketer about how you attack that keyword.
Chris, good presentation. Could you tell me a little bit, how do you think about the ROI for your customers from adopting your service?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've spoken with a lot of brand marketers and a lot of agencies about this over the last couple months, and they would use this for a lot of potential uses. But number one, it is measurement, and agencies in particular are super hungry for any way to show value to their clients. And the PR industry in general does a really bad job of that. And if you can show as a PR professional that you've dominated all the search results for a client, that's huge. And I can tell you that from my own personal experience. We use that in our own pitches for new business, and we also use it with existing clients. And no one's ever heard the strategy presented, which is kind of crazy. But every single marketing director gets it right away. And yeah, that's just one piece of ROI. But I think the biggest piece is that this exposes a brand's blind spots. you have no idea how you're doing against any of these keywords. Currently, the only tracking that exists is in the advertising and in the owned media space, and that is like the SEO space. So the rest of the page is effectively blank. And when you can plug your stuff into Visibly, you're able to see where your opportunities are, you're able to see where your blind spots are, and you're able to come up with strategies to meet all that.
Just a quick question on, this is obviously an amazing dashboard in terms of data and the availability for marketing professionals to have this. Does part of your service also include what do you do with it, strategies to improve?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Well, I do own a PR agency, so. No, it is a measurement solution, and that's what we have at this moment. I think we have a pretty amazing product roadmap in the next 2 or 3 years that would be able to go a little bit further into helping advise on a decision making and how you balance those 4 channels. Typically, those 4 channels of paid, earned, e-com, and owned are totally siloed in the marketing industry. And this is the first solution that I've seen, a lot of people have seen, that we presented to that actually unify it all into a single platform and see how and actually see that interplay in real time.
Chris, from the audience, how do you plan to market Visibly?
Yeah, so we're going to use our own. We're gonna walk our own walk here. We're going to focus on our own kind of sets of keywords. Free, I think so. In the keyword set, free SEO tools, and we kind of did some research around kind of iterations of that by itself. So 7 keywords around free SEO tools. If we're able to penetrate those meaningfully with recommendations about Visibly, we're reaching around 300,000 customers a year, just on those 7 keywords alone. We also have been talking to a lot of influencers in the marketing space. They're really, really excited about this. I mean, basically, having a freemium program is going to be our marketing strategy. People are going to come and use the program and hopefully recommend it to their friends.
Chris, one more question. Could you talk about your early experience of how much time on site are your freemium users using Visibly?
Well, that's actually really important to mention. So this site's not live. It's we are in the process of connecting the back end to the front end, and this is going to be live in the end of this month, really in the next 30 to 40 days. Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Hey, Chris, thanks a lot. Is this a first-to-market strategy, or
It is a first-to-market strategy.
Maybe last one. What do you think about your moat for protecting your IP?
Yeah, so we are in the process of filing a non-provisional patent right now. I don't know if that's going to stand up or not, but I think the biggest thing is to run faster, right? And I think that what we need to do is we need to acquire a lot of users really fast, whether they're paying or not. It doesn't really matter. But if we're recognized for originating this strategy, which I'm calling search engine visibility, by the way. I'm trying to get SEO, SEV, I don't know. But anyways, I think we need to be recognized for the strategy, and that we were the first to market with it. It's going to be ripped off. I know that for sure. And then B, I think we just need to do it better than everyone else. I think we have a really interesting way of using this data into the future. Once we get more users on the platform.
I could ask another question. You mentioned you could have more users on the platform, but could you tell us more? I'm still trying to catch up with the idea, because it's the first time I've heard it. The users themselves, can you tell us about their experience and how it is adding value? Do you have any focus groups or the experience of being freemium and upgrading to the...
Yeah, I've built that off of several kind of case studies that I've looked at other SaaS solutions in the Marcom space. And, if I want to go back, I suppose, to this slide. So we're looking at 25,000 freemium subscriptions in the first year. I think that's really low. I think that we'll probably be closer to 80 to 100,000, if we market this right. If anyone here is familiar with a company called BuzzSumo, they're another company that I have great admiration for. They came to market with another first-to-market solution. It was even more niche than what we're doing it. They provided a strong freemium program. In their there was only 3 guys. They bootstrapped the whole thing. In their very first year, they acquired over 140,000 free subscriptions. And they converted about 5% of those to paid, and they finished their first year at $2.5 million.
Chris, thank you very much. Thanks for the questions. And now I'd like to introduce Jack Hartpence, from the CEO and co-founder of Powwater.
Can I please ask everyone in the audience to close their eyes for 10 seconds? Now imagine you have 10 seconds to live. Where does your mind go? On August 23rd, 2017, that was me. I was T-boned by a tractor trailer going 60 miles per hour. And for 10 seconds, as I saw and heard the truck coming, I faced the thought, prepare to die, and accept these moments to be your last. What crossed my mind was a question. What have I actually done to help the world? In my mind, everything I held onto at the moment of death were the moments where I was altruistic. Nothing else mattered. At death, we will all face the question, did I do enough for others, for the world, and to be my best self? The van was completely totaled, but I walked away without even a bruise. I had a second chance to give it my best shot. And so the journey began. I started to think about what I could do for others, and I quickly learned about the power of water. Access to clean water is a catalyst for positive change, improving education, women's rights, health, and economic opportunity. Yet today, billions of people lack sustainable, safe water. It's an exponentially growing global problem, from the foothills of the Himalaya to right here in the American West. By 2025, 2/3 of humanity will live in water-scarce regions. This is why we created Powwater, to bring communities in need the most powerful tool for sparking transformative growth, water. We do this by selling reusable drinkware and reinvesting available funds into sustainable clean water solutions. We're legally structured as a public benefit corporation so that we can make investments prioritizing impact generation. Powwater's impact solutions are heavily influenced by the microfinance model that was created by Nobel Peace Prize laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus and the Grameen Bank. 10 months ago, as we were building Powwater's first legs, my co-founder Ellie and I traveled to Germany to meet with the grandfather of social business. Today, Powwater is formally incubated by Professor Yunus through YY Gashti. They're critical for us in vetting projects and ensuring our impact's long-term sustainability. We're very lucky to work with a game changer like Professor Yunus. Alongside Ellie and I is a terrific team of 6, all coming from diverse and specialized backgrounds, ranging from water purification, solar, software, design, marketing, finance, and sales. So here's how our impact model works. Time and time again, charities will build water systems in the developing world, and within no time, they will become ineffective. 40% of water solutions in Africa are completely broken, which is why we've set out to ensure that we create solutions to last. We do this by partnering with impact organizations in Africa and South Asia who have a highly proven track record. Our current partners are Viva Con Agua, Impact Water, and Shashir. While each organization functions differently, the model for sustainability is similar. These are not charity donations. They are investments that resemble microloans to local entrepreneurs who then own and operate each system as a business. Let me give you an example of how one works. This is a UV LED groundwater system with Shashir in Bangladesh. Together with Shashir, Professor Yunus, and a local entrepreneur, we invest in the creation of a micro-production center that's total cost is $30,000 to $40,000 US. Meet Shazib and Nandita with her cute little baby Tanzim. They're the reason we're doing this. Shazib is the local entrepreneur who operates the system as a business and employs a team. Nandita works for Shazib, selling water door to door to locals in her community. She not only speaks the language, but can also speak firsthand to the power of clean water for her own family's health. These systems are an economic driver and a community lifter. By working directly with locals who have skin in the game, we achieve the level of community development needed for solutions to last. We reach profitability with each project in 2 to 3 years. After that, we use all returns to reinvest in other systems and reach more communities. The result, our impact compounds over time. So how are we going to do this? We sell premium, reusable drinkware that keeps your beverages hot or cold. And at over $8 billion annually, we see incredible opportunity in the reusable drinkware market. Here's why. Consider the reusable grocery bag market as a parallel. As plastic bags have been banned, the reusable bag market has grown substantially. 3 weeks ago, the San Francisco airport banned plastic water bottles. The trend is just beginning in favor of reusable drinkware. Timing is everything. We sell to consumers via our e-commerce platform, strategically targeting millennials and Gen Z via Instagram and Facebook. According to a recent Gallup poll, 73% of millennials are willing to spend more on sustainable products. And collectively, they're worth $1 trillion in consumer spending annually. They also make up the largest portion of our workforce today. We know that there is no better way to engage our target audience in real time than through a robust social media platform. We work with prominent influencers who align with our story to reach our wide array of audiences. It should come as no surprise today that the society is demanding that companies, both public and private, serve a social purpose. To prosper over time, every company must not only deliver financial performance, but also show how it makes a positive contribution to society. That's not coming from me. That's a direct quote from BlackRock CEO Larry Fink in his 2018 letter to his shareholders. So where are we now? Where are we going? In our first month of sales, we've sold 850 products, bringing us to a total revenue of $24,408.71. We've had incredible traction to both individual consumers and organizations, from New York to Australia, everything from Grand Teton National Park to a hedge fund. Our sales force has a strategic focus on selling customizable products for businesses with a social construct. We're in late-stage discussions with WeWork, Box, Morgan Stanley, and the United Nations. The feedback we're getting from big corporate players is incredibly positive. Turns out they're looking for what we're selling. By the end of 2019, we're on pace for $150,000 in revenue. And in 2020, our projections have us selling 90,000 products and crossing the $2.5 million threshold. As you can see, 36% of our revenue goes into impact investments, and the rest is used to grow our business. Most importantly, we've brought clean water to thousands and thousands of people. Early on, we realized our consumers were asking, what's the catch? So we did something companies today would think unthinkable. We completely opened our books so that all of our consumers and partners can see exactly where every dollar is spent and where their impact is. We put it right on our website for the world to see. That's what we're all about, combining work with altruism so that when our time does come, we can rest easy. We invite you to join us in bringing the power of water to all. Thank you. Water is life.
I'll let the panel start their questions.
Thank you for a great presentation, very inspiring. Can you tell us where you source your products and the expense of them?
Absolutely. For almost a year, we searched in international manufacturing for a factory that met our values. And we sent one of our team members over to internationally to visit with factories, and finally we found a partner called Eco Drinkware, who meets all of our standards in both economic friendly, how they treat their employees, et cetera. So happy to say that everything, as we went over there and we came back, everything is in tip-top shape, and this factory is located right outside Shanghai.
And can you talk about the expense
Which expense?
of the bottles themselves?
Sure, $3.50.
So, and how profitability? What are you selling them for?
This bottle sells for $33.
Thanks so much. That was terrific, and I am very inspired by what you guys are doing. It seems to me that not so much talking about the business model in terms of what you're going to do with the profits, but on the front end, you can optimize your success really through building a brand, a consumer brand, a very, very powerful consumer brand, because that will facilitate everything else. Do you have anybody on your team that has done that really understands how to build what could be a global brand?
We're working with a team of advisors who are very successful in doing so, but I completely agree. The market is ripe, and we do believe that the way that consumers are looking for products today, we have incredible opportunity to capitalize on what consumers are looking for, which is companies that make a difference.
Yeah, just one more comment. The story itself, the narrative itself is extraordinary. I mean, this lends itself to morning shows, Oprah, everything, people that really, really care about this stuff. Being able to supply the demand on the other side is another thing that you should think about as you think about your supply chain and production.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Really great presentation and story, and thanks for what you're doing. What are the biggest challenges that you're facing right now that you need help on?
Sales for us. I mean, we're trying to grow as robustly and quickly as possible. So just having a team that's making these calls, having these introductions. Right now we're employing a team of college interns. We've got 13 interns on campuses across the US, and really just sales. I mean, sales and marketing, and just kind of trying to reach both the grassroots multiplier on the web and also word of mouth.
Jack, from the crowd, who trains the people on these water systems, and how does that work?
So our impact partners, they have a highly proven track record. They handle all the impact on the ground. And that's kind of core to our model, right? Is that we realized we couldn't be thin on both places. We're focusing on the business side of the operation here in the US to channel these funds. And that's why we partnered with the best of the best abroad to implement these solutions sustainably and effectively.
Are there other key players in this sector, I guess? Any, like, I guess you can call them competitors?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of brands in the drinkware space. However, where we see great opportunity is in these B2B sales, because it's a no-brainer for companies who are buying swag to make an impact in a swag purchase. And in terms of the impact we're making in this product space, there's no one that's in our league. That's really our competitive advantage.
And a second one, how do you find these impact partners? You may have mentioned it, but can you speak a little more to that?
They're all vetted through Professor Eunice. So everything comes through the Eunice network, and that's how we can ensure that these are the tip-top players that we can trust. Collectively, in the last 10 years, our impact partners have brought clean water to over 10 million people.
So would you say that your customer is the business, or are you finding this particular model resonate with a particular customer outside of the B2B approach?
Both. Right now we're looking at 2/3 of our revenue coming from B2B and 1/3 coming from e-commerce sales directly to consumer. And in the third that we're looking for directly to consumer, we're really targeting millennials and Gen Z because they put such an emphasis on these type of products. So we're strategic in who we're looking for in that third that is our B2C consumer, but B2B is 2/3.
Can you talk about how long it takes to turn around your supply chain from order to fulfillment?
2 weeks for B2B custom orders. However, the lead time, if we were to create a very large bulk order that's outside of the capacity we have here in the States, would be about 4 to 6 weeks. We work with a laser engraver down in Denver very closely who also has an emphasis on clean water. So we got linked up to him just randomly. It's incredible. So we're very close with them, and we can really have a very quick turn time on B2B.
Does your social media marketing include telling the stories of what's happening in these individual communities?
Absolutely. First and foremost, I think the biggest way we see our brand moving is being a bridge so that we link impact directly to the consumer. And the hero of our story is not Powwater. It's the consumer who's purchasing our product, and also Shazib and Nandita, who are deploying these solutions and having them long in a sustainable manner.
I just wanted to ask you more about Professor Yunus. Is he, what if something happened to him?
His network is massive. There's 75 Yunus centers, 75 countries with Yunus centers in them today. The Grameen Bank has offices all over the world. So he's really the grandfather of this whole movement, social business, and he's implemented it in a way that we're very confident this is going to live on well past him. And he's a great guy.
We have time for one final question.
Jack, again from the crowd, what types of product differentiation have you considered in order to boost overall contributions to clean water globally?
Additional products or in our current product basket?
Differentiation from your current product line.
Toilet paper. Toilet paper is something today that we look at, and every single minute, 8 national ice hockey rinks are cut down for toilet paper consumption. On top of that, when we bleach toilet paper to make it white, it releases a chemical in our body that is now directly linked to a rise in prostate cancer. And we believe firmly that there's a way to sustainably source toilet paper and then link it to sanitation, which sanitation in the developing world is the biggest problem with clean water. If there's not sanitation that's set up properly, then there is no clean water. So we really see that as our next vertical, and we want to do it on a subscription model.
Thanks, Jack. Oh, this is so fun, isn't it? Now we go straight from water in Africa to right here with Mikey Franco and Franco Snow Shapes.
Does anybody know where that is? Teton Pass. Don Watkins riding his first ever Franco Snow Shapes custom swallowtail. This is what passion looks like to me. Ever since my first turns in 1984 to my most recent turns in 2019, it's been my life's work to create moments like this for myself and for others. For nearly 35 years, I've been an instructor, I've been a guide, I've been a coach, and I've been a trainer. 30 of those years right here in Jackson. And during that time, I witnessed the many ups and downs of snowboarding. The current up is that snowboarding is growing up. The punk shredders of the 90s, and I was one of them, are now moms and dads, raising families, balancing work, and sharing their passion with snowboarding. My name is Mikey Franco, and we are Franco Snow Shapes. As that first generation of snowboarders becomes the seasoned riders of the 21st century, the boards marketed to them were the same shapes being marketed to 18 to 20-year-old rippers, only with different graphics. That first generation of snowboarder now has a custom bicycle frame, bespoke suits, and fitted golf clubs. The current board shapes and the methodology for measuring those boards are just not adequate. Luckily, our clients were telling us directly what they wanted. They wanted a tailored, personal, and unique experience for their passion on snow and for the best products in the world. So how do we do this? It's called the Rider Genome Profile, AKA the RGP. Once a client has purchased a snowboard from Franco Snow Shapes, they get granted exclusive access to a private client-only portal. Here they find the RGP survey. Through this survey, biometric, psychometric, and envirometric analysis is taken, And with this data, we shape the perfect snowboard from the customer's head down to their feet. Additionally, we offer something called the Franco Experience. What this is an on-snow event. This is a full-day guided in Jackson Hole, complete with early tram access, powder turns, movement analysis, and at the end, the perfect snowboard. No other brand in the world has this option. And finally, we'll use all this data that we collect to create the most beautiful, high-performance custom snowboard the customer's ever seen, designed and built from their head to their feet. So who is the Franco customer? We've made over 250 snowboards since 2010. We're getting a pretty good idea who that is. 65% male, top 5% of median income, average age is 54, has a second or third home, definitely has a custom bike and or fitted golf clubs, and typically has a very cool car. But that's our customer right now. How about the future? As you can see, women are showing an incredible growth in snowboarding. The shrink it and pink it model that's been presented to them is no longer satisfactory. A personal journey towards a snowboard that explores their overall mission in snowboarding, tuned to their exact size, weight, skill, and overall desire. This is what we do best. Another segment, the Henrys. High earner, not rich yet. Average age 43, makes over 6 figures, and these are the first millennials. This group is very keen on authenticity, and they are very savvy with the digital experience. To give you guys a little bit of perspective, 40 snowboards we made last year. We are currently capturing 0.0001% of the market. We're just getting started. So who is our competition? Truthfully, right now, no one. That is to say, no one has tried to aim as high as Franco. But to give credit where credit is due, the founding brands of snowboarding, Burton Snowboards, Winter Stick, they're taking incremental steps and raising that bar to price points. Their high range is $1,700 right now. Ours is $5,000. Our 3 main competitors, only Winter Stick offers a degree of customization within their product line, and albeit it's a small percent. So where are we now? We know our customer better than anyone, and our customer has come to know us. Over 1/4 of Franco customers buy more than one snowboard at a time. Over 50% are repeat customers. Now it's time to extend our reach past our circle. With a capable team of engineers and shapers, our aim is to grow slow enough to keep our boards the best quality in the world, yet fast enough so that we can keep moving forward. Moving into our own workshop will allow this growth to happen, eliminating current production and volume limitations. With margins about 65% right now, we've created a model based on luxury price and luxury quality. This allows us to scale at a pace that positions Franco as a possible future acquisition for a larger brand looking to add to their portfolio. So we've had incredible media response, thanks in part to Chris Dickey and his wonderful PR firm. Outlets like the Rob Report, Outside Online, where we had the top women's custom powder board last year and this year, Men's Journal as well, they've helped establish us as the bespoke brand. With focused PR, we'll pursue endemic and non-endemic media targeting the high net worth individual, as well as the Henry snowboarding demographic, expanding our brand awareness. With relationships like e-retailer, Uncrate and Huckberry, we'll provide opportunities for the digital native consumer. And finally, through my 30-year history with Jackson Hole, we can work directly with our clients in a one-on-one on-snow consultation at Teton Village. We've also expanded that to include the exclusive Yellowstone Club. So why Franco? The team at Franco has experience from architectural engineering and master welding to custom bike fitting and elite snowboard teaching and design. My 14 years experience previously with Burton Snowboard's Learn to Ride program was spent developing and implementing teaching and board design, making snowboarding easier and more accessible to the masses. I was also selected to the American Association of Snowboard Instructors national team from 2000 to 2008. There I developed and worked to produce the nation's snowboard teaching system. And finally, I've been fortunate enough to have been trained and mentored by the likes of Mike Paris and Igneous Skis and Kelvin Wu of Maiden Skis, two of the world's greatest custom ski makers. This expertise and real-world experience is what drives our relationships, points our design, and guides our mission. And finally, I'm often asked, when am I going to hire a pro? See these folks behind me? These are my pros. They're the best in their field, the best at what they do. They are my inspiration. And that's why they come to us, knowing that we strive for the same thing. Along with each one of these customers, we live and breathe the art and passion of snowboarding. We're Franco Snow Shapes, and thank you. Thank you.
Turning it over to the panel.
Start with, talk about, for the capital that you're going to raise eventually, right? I'm trying to understand, how do you think about the size that you want to be? I saw what the forecast was, but is it mainly to build capacity?
Sorry, say that again.
Well, I'm trying to understand with the money that you're going to raise.
Right.
Is it to build capacity in your physical plant to be able to produce
Yeah,
more?
right now that's our one holdback is our ability to produce more snowboards. And so we're looking at raising money to move into that new factory to have the ability to expand our operations in any direction we see fit.
And relative to your plan, like what's the right scale now versus add later?
Right now we're scaling at about 33% a year. We can actually double that if we add just one thing, and that's called skis, which we're considering doing because we've had so many requests for it. But right now we've been just super focused on what we've done for the last 10 years.
Got it.
I haven't ventured off my skis to snowboard, but I want to just so I can own a Franco. Quick question about your acquisition strategy. Do you have any sense right now of what your current cost of acquisition is?
That we do not. It's something that we just realized that with what we have something that nobody else has looked at and tried to. So that's something we are just starting to look at. And it's been a bit difficult because the situation we're in now hasn't been super permanent. So once we move into this new factory, we'll be able to get a better understanding of what our overall production costs are going to be and what our brand strategy is with whether we add skis or not, or we diversify and start a separate brand.
Do you have a sense of your addressable market? You're at a very, very high-end kind of niche, bespoke market. Do you have any idea annually of what size that is?
Well, I have looked at some stats regarding the growth of it. There's a 5% growth predicted for the next 5 years. The Henry market is about 418,000 snowboarders estimated, and that's just one of our customers. The other customer is that high net worth customer that's considerably older. That's going to start shrinking, but that Henry is going to start expanding. And it's a much bigger group than my group, which is the Gen X.
You said you produced 40 boards last year.
Last year.
Do you have any cap on production currently?
I do currently, which is why we want to move. Yeah, so right now, but as far as workers and as far as our skill set, no. We can produce right now 300 if we had the means to do it, this meaning space and the allotment. But right now, the space I'm in, I've got a quota that I can't go over. And so that's the predominant reason why we're looking to move, so that we can not have that ceiling.
Right. How many employees are there currently working?
So I have one full-time, one part-time, and then I have a temporary showroom in the winter, which employs about 4 people.
is the production process sort of artisan, or does it actually lend itself to kind of being automated in some way where you can still have the quality be as good as you want?
Absolutely. We in fact, my original training was doing it all entirely by hand, and we've upgraded to CNCs and whatnot. And so it's all computer automated, it's all repeatable, and it's all very efficient.
Thanks for your presentation. Okay. Thanks for your presentation. You mentioned you could go from 40 to 300 from like an employee capacity perspective. If you upgrade your space, would that space accommodate 300? And if so, why not aim for a little bit faster growth rate at this point?
Yeah, that's very possible. We've just been being very conservative because this is all we've experienced in the current shop is that we can only grow so fast. So you're right. When we move into our next spot, there's a good chance we will say yes to skis, and that alone will more than double what we're doing in our first year.
What's it like for someone to move from, say, Burton to Franco? Is there a lot of loyalty there, or do people typically have more than one board? Or describe what that culture is like.
Sure, very much so. As I said, we have a quarter of our customers buy 2 boards, and over 50% are return customers in this short period of time we have now. What it is they're finding this experience that when they get on this snowboard that's been designed from their head to their feet, in the first 2 turns, they go, that's what I thought it was going to be like. Whereas when you buy an off-the-rack snowboard, you have no idea what it's going to be like. It might take you a day, a week, a month to learn it. This board has been learned, it learned you, essentially is what we're doing here. We're really diving into the psyche of every one of our customers so that when they make that first turn, they go, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. That's our goal.
Mikey, 2 related questions from the crowd. The first is, how dependent is this business on you? And is quality jeopardized depending on the individual creating the board? And what is the cost of training new producers?
Got you. It is not dependent upon me. My role will be eventually to be out on the snow and working with customers directly there. The manufacturing will be done by Colin Showerman and Ian Haney and the likes of that in our factory, and they have been trained. In fact, Colin has been making skis. He's probably made more skis than I have snowboards. He came from an outfit called Parlor Skis back east. So we have that ability within the shop to maintain the quality that I started with without question. The hard part will be for me to expand that on-snow portion, because that is me. There are other guys that I know that have the teaching experience that I have. They don't have the building experience. That part I can train. What was the second question? Cost of training? Well, if I hire somebody like Colin, it doesn't cost anything. He already came. He already knew what he was doing. And that's really important. But what we're seeing is with some of the folks that come around the shop, they have been so eager and so willing to learn that they come in and just say, I just want to make a snowboard and I'll do some work for you. And that's how we start that training process. They actually earn it through building their own snowboards for themselves. And we coach them through it and they start there. And it's actually a pretty good learning curve. If you have any kind of building skills, any kind of creativity, learning to build a ski or a snowboard is actually not that hard. It's just the equipment we use.
Just one last question, please, Mikey.
Have you followed what's happened in the surfboard industry and how shapers, famous shapers have gone kind of like taken, you're talking about upscaling and going to this really high-end niche and you've done that well. And I just can't help but be curious about the giant market below with that you could, like surfboard shapes have done, where the Almeric now has the factory shape boards and you can piggyback on your reputation and sell more at a lower end. I'm just wondering if that's applicable.
It is. One of the things that my mentors and my advisors always had told me, start here first. Establish this. And when I looked around, because of the clients that I've worked with at Jackson Hole, and I've looked at the brands, there wasn't anything there. And I did look to the surfboard industry. In fact, they're doing the opposite. They're starting to go more factory produced, and we're just getting into where we're scaling it back down. But I do think there is an opportunity to look at what surfing is going through, because that market is triple what the size of snowboarding is. And we have customers there that have never snowboarded.
Lots more questions once Mikey's outside, but thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mikey.
Thank you.
And now I'm really pleased to present Tana Hoffman with Mountainist.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I want you to take a good look at the women behind me. These are the new faces of the outdoor action sport market. In an industry that's been historically driven and dominated by men, women are now the fastest growing demographic in snow sports, in hunting and angling, in off-road recreation, and in mountain biking. But they still face a lot of challenges. And the first one is usually finding the right gear. We surveyed 50 women in Western mountain towns about activities that they wanted to get out and try and what they felt was holding them back. For these women, the #1 barrier to access was gear. And that's because, first off, new gear, it's super expensive. This helmet and goggles here cost $400. Number two, the majority of it is designed for men. And if you're trying to save money and you're going to go out and rent or borrow it from friends, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to find anything women-specific. And thirdly, if you don't have the gear, you can't find it, you can't afford it, you look like this girl on the dirt bike who has a death machine between her legs, no pads, no goggles, and no footwear. So when you don't have the right equipment, you're not setting yourself up for a fun or a safe experience. My name is Tana Hoffman, and we are Mountainist, an online gear rental service that gives women affordable access to outdoor gear so that they can get off the sidelines and into the mountains. Mountainist solves the gear access problem in 3 ways. First off, all of our gear collections are curated for women. We ourselves participate in these sports, so we work with our brand partners to get the outerwear, accessories, and protective gear that we would want to wear. And we can speak to it. If a customer doesn't know what she needs, she can fill out the Gear Finder form that's on our website, and we'll give her a list of customized recommendations with her sizes, saving her hours of research. The second way that we solve it is that it's easy and affordable. Ladies, you can rent over $1,000 worth of gear from Mountainist for $150 for a weekend. When you order it, it all comes from our warehouse in Alpine, Wyoming, and it shows up in one of these little gear bags. It's all pre-packed and ready to go, so you can just throw it in the car. Our customer gets to the trail, she has a great day, and when she's done, she takes all of the dirty gear, stuffs it back in the bag, stuffs it in the box, puts on a return label, and drops it at the mail. We take care of the cleaning so that we can make sure it's in pristine, nearly new condition for the next renter. The third and most important way that we solve the gear access problem is that we reduce risk. Women know that when they rent from us, they're going to have high quality gear and it's going to protect them and fit them properly so that they can go out feeling safe and confident. So what's the market for a service like this? In a survey from Coherent Marketing Insights, they estimated that the $1.5 billion apparel rental industry is going to double between 2017 and 2023. The majority of customers who use that service are, unsurprisingly, women. In other studies from the Outdoor Industry Association and the National Forest Service, it's estimated that over 70 million women participate in outdoor recreation every year. That's more than 20% of the US population and probably 100% of the women in this room. Of those 70 million, 6 million of them hunt, fish, bike, ski, sled, and ride off-road, which are all sports that we'll be renting gear for. Not only is this a rapidly growing segment, but because we lower the barriers to access with our products, we believe that we have the ability to expand this market. To reach these women, we rely on 3 core components in our go-to-market strategy. First off, partnerships. We partner with coaches, outfitters, and women-specific events that require women to have these gear to participate. For example, last spring, we partnered with an organization out of Washington that had over 200 women at a dirt bike event on a dirt track for the weekend. We got to go up and we had a great time, but we also rented to 30 of those women. Secondly, we work with influencers. We work with people on Instagram and also professional athletes who have women interested in these sports. They tell their followers how easy it is to rent from Mountainist and how much fun it is to try new gear and help us drive sales. And thirdly, we use digital marketing campaigns. Mainly, we go through YouTube video ads, social media ads, and Google search, people looking for affordable gear. We also try to target not only the women that are trying to participate in these sports, but also the men that are active participants who may want to introduce their wives, girlfriends, or daughters and make sure that they have a good experience. Our business model has 4 key revenue sources, helping us build a steady revenue stream. Our first is gear rentals. We launched our gear rental service in February, and we've rented dirt bike and snowmobile gear to over 50 women from California to Connecticut. The average rental order is $80, and our goal is to reach 0.5% of our obtainable market. That would generate over $3.5 million in profitable revenue in gear rentals alone over the next 3.5 years. The next revenue source that we're currently generating revenue from is new gear sales. If a customer absolutely loves the gear that she rents from us, we can sell it to her brand new from the manufacturer at high retail margins. These sales make up less than 1/4 of our total revenue. We find that most women prefer to rent a few times before they commit to any big ticket purchases. And even if they do buy gear from us, they'll be back to rent from us again when they're ready to try the next mountain sport. A future revenue source is used gear sales, and this will kick in when we're ready to start turning over our outdated rental inventory. We will sell this gently used gear at 50 to 60% off retail pricing. And our fourth revenue source, which is also in the future, is rental subscriptions. Subscriptions give women with big adventure plans and teeny tiny garages unlimited access to gear all year round that they don't have to clean or find storage for. With all of these revenue sources combined, our business model can produce operating margins of 10 to 20%. And while all of our sales and services help to get our customers off the sidelines, our community, which is at the core of our business, inspires them, engages them, and supports them. So in terms of competition, there are other places online to rent gear. But as you can see from the chart behind me, the majority of them, they focus on backpacking and camping. Of the few that do offer outerwear and protective gear, mainly local shops, hardly any of them have anything women-specific. Mountainous.com is the only online gear rental service that's designed specifically for women. And what really sets us apart from our competitors is that we support women in every stage of the learning process. You can see a little rainbow over my logo up there, and that represents our customer's journey. We act as mentors to our customers as they progress from aspirational participant to experienced mountain athlete. And we know how to support this journey because we've all been through this ourselves. These are our people. Mountainous is currently a team of 3, and we're all located here in Jackson Hole. Morgan Conway is my production manager. She is formerly an editor of Teton Gravity Research, and she is creating the content that attracts and engages all of our customers. Helen Garina is our lead developer. She has over 10 years' experience as a software engineer across diverse industries, and she is helping us to develop the technology that will support our supply chain operations. And I'm Tana. I have over 15 years in the outdoor industry. I'm a previous marketing manager at Teton Gravity Research and Winter Park Resort, and I became a business owner in 2016 when I launched my own marketing agency. I'm looking forward to applying my business experience to growing Mountainous into a profitable, successful company. Over the last 6 months, this team successfully launched a nationwide gear service. And now we're ready to grow our team, improve our technology, and continue to build a company that supports our mission to get women off the sidelines and out into the mountains. If you would like to be a part of Mountainous' story, I would really love to talk to you. Thank you.
Can you help me understand the customer experience? Because I'm ready to rent, but I'm just wondering, like, what's the online experience? Do you track history and suggestions and that kind of thing?
Sure. We're still very new, but if you have rented from Rent the Runway, it is a very similar customer experience. Rent the Runway does high luxury, dresses and professional clothing. So the customer experience, as I mentioned, the gear finder, most women go through and we have a little button that says get started. They fill out the sport that they want to do, all of their measurements, how they like things to fit, certain colors or brands that they like, and we send them a recommended gear list of this is everything that you would need to go on this particular adventure. And then they have the option to rent that right there on our site. And as I said, when they rent, it all comes from our warehouse. It shows up at their house in this gear bag, and they can rent it for a whole weekend, enjoy it, and then just stuff it back in and send it back.
And then when they repeat, they can you suggest, like, if they have feedback, like, oh, that was a little bit too big, or, I mean, and you keep the history of what they rented?
Yes, we have reviews on our sites right now, which is helpful to us to be able to understand overall what fits people, what people like. But we would like to add more profiling to our customers, allow them to have customer profiles to log in and see all of that. Right now, our resources don't allow for us to have that kind of technology, but we are actually putting all of this into a plan so that when we do have resources, we can make that part of the online experience, most certainly.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Obviously, there's a lot of wear and tear involved in this. Do you have in-house expertise to fix if there's a rip or whatever it may be?
I'm the expert. I've gotten very, very good at cleaning things, so much so that when I'm cleaning boots, my boyfriend says, "Can you do mine?" So right now it's me doing all of the cleaning, and that's actually one of the reasons we really don't want people to wash things, because every one of these materials, because they are $800 jackets, and they have, very specific materials, they need to be washed in a very specific and careful way. Certain things will get less uses than others. Dirt bike boots tend to get pretty beat up. But so far, we've found ways to keep things very clean and to get all the stains out. We do charge a small insurance fee, like Rent the Runway does, for small wear and tear if there's a small rip or something, and we're able to fix those. So far, I haven't had to throw anything out. So.
Just following up on that, Rent the Runway, you probably know, is the biggest dry cleaner in the United States.
I'll be the biggest boot cleaner.
How are you going to scale that?
Yeah, so right now we have a small warehouse in Alpine, and my plan would be that once we get to a certain repetition of rentals and once we scale to a certain amount, it would make sense for us to build our own warehouse and facility to house all of our inventory, because we do plan to get a lot more inventory, and also to house our cleaning. We've looked at options. We'd like to stay in Wyoming, potentially looking at something like Rock Springs, where it's closer for shipping availability. And at some point to be able to have a warehouse on the East Coast, because we get a lot of people who rent from us on the East Coast, and that's pricey shipping.
Thanks for sharing. You mentioned 10 to 20% operating margins. Could you talk through a little more of the economics today and kind of how you see that changing over time, and if there's certain scale factors you need in order to achieve those economics?
Absolutely. Well, the biggest levers for our company right now are, number one, shipping, which they are quite high until you get to more of an enterprise level. So that is a large cost of our product, cost of goods sold. And also, the other lever is how much we get the gear for. We actually work with our brand partners to get our inventory at very deep discounts, which is great. And so those 10 to 20% operating margins, those were actually pulled both from our pro forma, but also looking at some circular fashion economy reports that came out, which I would be happy to share in the last couple years. And those are actually low, conservative estimates in our mind. Our pro forma showed much higher profit margins, specifically in the rental, because that's where we make the most margins off of. But with retail sales and our used gear sales and the subscriptions, we believe that it will be 10 to 20% is conservative, but we believe that as it scales, those could become much higher.
So do you currently hold all of this inventory?
I do. I have, as I said, a warehouse in Alpine. Right now we have snowmobile and dirt bike gear, off-road gear. And we plan to do a Kickstarter in the fall to launch our fly fishing gear, which will include waders and rods, because those are easily shippable. And also mountain biking gear, because we want to eventually be the place where women feel they can get all of their mountain equipment at any time, again, without having to clean or store it.
Have you had a chance to, you don't have a lot of data, but have you had a chance to kind kind of build a unit economic model to understand, like, where is your pricing coming in at? Is it the right pricing? What are your assumptions? You know, how do you depreciate the asset? How many times you're going to rent it out before you fully depreciate it? Things like that.
I do have that in our pro forma, and all of that. Most of it is assumptions at this point. But yes, we do have that information available.
And what is your assumption in your cost of acquisition for the customers you're acquiring through digital media?
Yeah, so cost of acquisition, again, we don't have that data right now, but our return on ad spend is about 1-to-1 right now, and that's with me doing everything with a very small marketing budget and not having time to, you know, do take the photos that we want to take or do the emails we want to take. It's extremely minimal advertising. And I would say that, you know, cost of acquisition for working with one of our partners, that partner was Dirtastic I was referring to in Washington. That cost us the cost of getting up there, which was really just for fun. We didn't really have to go, but we wanted to go ride. But that was, they were so excited about it, they sent it out to their whole email chain, and all of these women rented from us. So when we're able to work with certain partners, we have more local partners here that run women-specific sled classes, but we're finding more and more rental companies that are excited about what we're doing and willing to promote us, and that's where we find our biggest sales. So in those senses, cost of acquisition is very low.
Yeah, one last comment. I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of time here. I love the idea of getting women more active, and getting women more active in these types of sports that traditionally there's been an intimidation factor. Even figuring out an affiliate model where you're working with established sales and distribution, where they can get a piece of it because they have the customers, even, you know, from Foot Track.
Yes.
I think it would be well worth your while.
Yes, and we've explored that extensively. So, all right.
Thank you, Tana.
Thank you.
Hey, Liza, real quick.
In a minute.
Folks, if you got a notification that vote or questioning's ended, just go ahead and keep sending questions. That was an error.
I'm really pleased to present our former executive director, Scott Fitzgerald, with Buddy Pegs.
This is a problem. Video game addiction, the daily steady drip of social media, the way kids are spending time and interacting with the world is changing dramatically. And what technology is doing to our kids is wrong. So what's the solution? Kids need an alternative, something that helps them get off the couch and out for adventure. And we're creating just that thing. Our company, Buddy Pegs, uses the bicycle to help build confident kids and connected families. This is what more and more parents want, and they're fed up. They don't want to be raising zombie video game addicts. You know, saying to a kid, hey, let's go for a bike ride, it helps that kid develop self-confidence, resilience, connection to community, a sense of freedom, and balance. Not just on the bike, but balance in life. The whole family feels that. We help them get it. All right, so let's talk about how we do this through our two-pronged approach. We're getting families on bikes by combining two well-proven business models, media and classes. First, we inspire behavior change through media. In terms of media driving behavior change, let me give you an example. Remember Hunger Games, the movie? We got Katniss, the badass archer. Well, in the year after the Hunger Games was released, there was a 105% increase in youth archery participation in 1 year. If we want to shift behavior to getting kids on bikes, we need media characters who activate kids and inspire kids around that behavior. And we have created them. The second thing we do is we offer classes for kids between 2 and 7 years old. In classes, holy smokes, parents are spending more on youth sports education than any other previous generation. Now, this is more than a concept. We've got this thing rolling, we've got traction, and let's take a look at what we've done so far with Buddy Pegs. On the top of the slide here, we see a few stats on the media side of our business. And at the bottom, a quick summary of what we've done with our classes and events. At the center of our media, there are characters who are dogs and cats. They ride bikes. They own a local bike shop. We have illustrated those animals in 2 beautiful children's picture books that are really fun to read, and an amazing world of stories that we've released in podcast format called The World of Buddy Pegs. These are tools that help parents introduce bicycling to their kids and plant the seeds of adventure. Our books have been distributed nationally through bike shops since 2015, coast to coast. And last year, off the success of our media, we raised our first investment dollars so we could develop our Buddy Pegs Learn to Ride classes and events. And we did that through an 8-month coast-to-coast tour, engaging directly with our customers. There's me, my wife, my son, and our dog, traveling in our RV all around the country running these events. And parents loved our classes, and they were willing to pay for them. And why wouldn't they? Parents, they're used to sports education in any other sport under the sun. But currently there is no early childhood bicycle education platform. And that's what we're building. Now, thanks to a second round of funding with 100% participation of our existing investors, we're ready to prove out our mobile Learn to Ride program. And we're getting back on the road. We're moving to Bentonville, Arkansas for 8 months so that we can launch our first van in a population center that has incredible density of young professional families, incredible mountain biking culture, and year-round riding. Now, the key driver of this business is a fleet of vans driven by our trained Buddy Pegs coaches in communities all around the country. Let me show you what the financial numbers look like. Okay, here's a chart that shows the next 4 years horizontally across the top. And below each year, the number of kids impacted all the way through our net profit. And there's my rock star wife who couldn't be here today. So we forecast that each van will generate $200,000 to $250,000 of gross revenue each year. And that's based on what we learned in the field traveling around the country and our research on the $15 billion youth sporting industry. That's almost doubled in the last 10 years. In 2019, it's all about proving out the unit economics with that one van. In 2020, we'll build our fleet management systems with our hiring and training protocols for coaches. 21 through 23, our central admin team here in the Tetons will be deploying vans in communities throughout the country. And by 2023, we'll have 35 vans, each educating at least 1,200 kids annually. But I want to show you what's even more exciting, because over this time period, we're going to keep building our media products as companion pieces to our classes. So what you see here is how we make money during the next 5 years. Each slice of the pie represents the percentage of total revenue earned. And the biggest slice, classes and events, it's what parents are used to paying for anything they sign their child up for. And let me tell you, this is exactly like swimming. Bicycling and swimming are both life skills that parents want their kids to have. The only difference is we travel around town with the pool. We sell bikes and accessories through our classes, and our Buddy Pegs books and merchandise sales will continue to grow. But look what happens after 2024. Aside from building the number of kids on bikes and a significant revenue model on enrollment, we're also building a media audience. And as we get 3 to 5 years out, we see a massive opportunity in licensing and distribution revenue based on our media. But we're not attacking that today. Right now, our closest in opportunity is our classes. Let me tell you about our team. It's primarily made up of my wife and I. We've been working side by side as business owners for almost 20 years. After growing our local bike shop, Fitzgerald's Bicycles, from a one-man repair shop to a top 50 US bicycle retailer, we sold the store so we could focus on Buddy Pegs. Bob Berkey is an amazing award-winning entertainer who guides our creative story and voice. And our company is guided by a rock star board of advisors who are hand-selected because of their deep personal experience and their passion for our mission. This team is fired up to create a national lifestyle brand that symbolizes what's right about childhood and helps parents rediscover the meaning of family adventure. I want to leave you with a shot of local families who have been coming to our events this summer. And I want to tell you, families around the country, coast to coast, they come up to us after the events, our classes. They hug us with joy. And they text us days later. And they say, oh my gosh, my son, my daughter, they woke up this morning. They asked to go for a bike ride. They didn't ask for the iPad. Yes, we're building a significant business. Yes, there's meaningful financial upside. But what we're also doing very consistently is we're helping family after family get off the couch and out for a ride. So my call to action for you all tonight, grab one of our books, download one of our podcasts, share it with a kid, and then take that kid for a ride, because that's a win for all of us. Thank you.
Scott from the crowd, are you considering adding more books to make more series?
Yeah, the books will definitely become a series. They already have. The last book that we launched was our origin story. Right now, going to market through podcasts is a little bit more cost effective, and it helps us build our audience a lot quicker. Children's storytelling podcasting is exploding right now. A lot of people still don't realize that, but it's the fastest growing segment in podcasting. So we're basically developing our characters and our storyline through podcasts, and then we'll continue to roll out a new book about every year.
Can you help me understand how this works again? You have vans, you travel to towns, and you have classes for kids to ride bicycles. Am I getting it?
I don't think you need any other explanation. So look, this is not a van traveling around the country. These are vans in communities. It is really a valid question. Each van, we forecast, services about a population center of 50,000 people. So for instance, our Teton regional community here, that's one van. If you go to a big city, San Francisco, Austin, Denver, a lot of outdoor active cities that we're looking at, they could support 5 to 10 vans each.
So the scaling plan, it's working well here, you've had a great time doing it, and it's really successful with families and children. This is a scaling plan. How does it work in the 5 years from now when there are, the 10 people in Denver? Have you thought through that?
Yeah, definitely. That's why we're moving again. We're going to a population center that has year-round riding weather, greater density of young professional families. That's our target audience. And out of that community, we're going to grow in the Southeast to begin with. Now, we will be here in the rideable seasons. So there will be a van here in the Tetons and that central admin team. But we call it the Ville strategy. So whether it's we're moving to Bentonville, Fayetteville, Nashville, Knoxville, all of these Southeast communities, they're booming with young professional families. All the tech companies are moving there. And these families are like I said, they're fed up. They want to get their kids out for an adventure. And that adventure is different than standing on a sideline checking your email when you're watching your child in a team sport environment.
Okay, and I'm also interested in the business part of it. Like, how much does it cost for a class, and how do you, if other vans exist, are they employees, are they franchised? The business model.
Yeah, you bet. So our average class cost is $25, and our average class is an hour long. We also run summer camps, after-school programs, and workshops for employers as well, especially employers who have on-site daycare. We work with community centers, churches, Parks and Recs department. Each van is driven by part-time W-2 employee coaches. So right now we're the coaches, but we're going to be hiring coaches to run the vans because the van needs to be operational 7 days a week. So it's all about productivity of the van. The van travels around with demo bikes like this, ramps, other equipment for our classes, and we have it built out so that a part-time coach who is interested in child education, they don't have to be a bike geek. They don't have to know everything about bicycles. They have to be passionate about helping kids develop life skills. They can show up to that van, turn the key, drive to a class, everything they need is in the van, they've got all the training they need. They park the van, the next coach comes and jumps in for their shift.
Sounds like fun.
You're hired.
Thanks for sharing. Have you gotten any resistance that parents just want to teach their own kids how to bike rather than having someone else do it? I fondly remember my parents teaching me that, and I'm having a little trouble seeing it.
Yeah, it was interesting. When we traveled around the country, we wondered about that exact situation. What we found was an epidemic. There's an epidemic out there right now, and it's here in the Tetons as well. You don't realize it, but you all have friends who are struggling to teach their kids how to ride a bike. And there are lots of kids who are past the age of typically learning to ride a bike who are now embarrassed about that, and their parents are really embarrassed about that. It's not as easy to teach a kid how to ride a bike anymore. It's hard to say why. we have a theory, and I think that theory relates back to the freedom of neighborhood exploration that kids are not allowed to have anymore. So when I was a kid learning to ride a bike, I was gonna figure it out, because if I didn't, I wasn't with that posse traveling through my neighborhood away from my parents. That's not the case anymore. The number one parental concern right now is protection and safety of children. They're not being allowed to explore neighborhoods. And there's no curriculum framework for early childhood education around bikes, so parents are winging it, and they come to our events like, oh my God, please help us.
I have a quick question, the origin of the name. And the second question, in terms of going to all of these villes, these different locations, are you working with local government? Because that seems to me that there's a point of distribution there. They're already probably offering a lot of classes to their local communities. How are you getting space to conduct your classes?
So we do work with parks and rec departments that are embedded in governments, for sure. So that's a primary strategy for getting space. But we also work with private entities. So athletic clubs who have extra parking lot space, and then indoor facilities as well. We're rolling out classes at Walmart's employee gym, because they have space and customers. So it's all kinds of different relationships to get that space, but it is a critical piece of it. And the name Buddy Pegs, it's a throwback reference. I grew up in the Boston suburbs, and we used to call the pegs that kids put on the back of their bikes Buddy Pegs. So you can take your buddy for a ride, and we like to take people for a ride.
Why do you think no one else is doing this? You mentioned that no one else is currently operating a business like you are. Why is that?
They're not doing it in the US. In Canada, there's a company just like this, coast to coast, nationally. They've been around since the late 80s. They're doing about 15 million in annual revenue. And they're looking to come into the US. So our big strategy is to get out ahead of them and be a full service framework. So just teaching kids how to ride a bike is not enough. Just writing books and podcasts is not enough. This is all about creating behavioral change. This is about getting kids outside and reimagining childhood to what it used to be. And it's gonna take a comprehensive approach. It's gonna take the right equipment, because not every bike is created equal, the right classes, it's gonna take the right stories at bedtime, and it's gonna take the Pixar Buddy Pegs movie when it rolls out nationally.
Will you end up selling bikes?
We do sell bikes. Yep, we sell about 20 to 25% of our participants in our events buy bicycles from us. Yeah. So in a big way, we found a better way to sell kids' bikes. The thing you have to know that's hard to understand sometimes is not all kids' bikes are created equal, and most bike shops don't sell the best kids' bikes. We're big supporters of bike shops, but the biggest brands, they're not selling the best kids' bikes.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
And last, but certainly not least, we have Rob Torti, the COO of Authentag.
We live in a world where 1 million people die every year from ingesting counterfeit medicine. And it's estimated that about 30% of all medicine sold worldwide is counterfeit or fake. For reference, about 1 million people die every year in car crashes, about 8 million people die every year from cancer. How many people have heard of this problem before? Counterfeit medicine is a global epidemic. And this has led the US government and about 40 other governments around the world to pass legislation to combat this global epidemic. In the US, it's called the Drug Supply Chain Security Act. It was passed in 2013 by Congress, and it's just now becoming enacted. It has two main points to it. The first is that every product sold needs to be uniquely identified. The second is that the industry as a whole needs to be able to issue a 24-hour recall when necessary. These are really big changes for the industry. The industry is going over a huge overhaul currently in order to adapt to this. Currently, there's no tracking platform in place in order to track pharmaceuticals as they move through a supply chain. And like a box of Advil, for example, all of those Advil probably have either the same code on them, or maybe all of the Advil that was manufactured around the same manufacturing run has the same code on it. So it's a big change for the industry. And this isn't a black or a gray market problem. This product, this counterfeit product, is sold through the legitimate supply chain. Bad actors find ways to infiltrate it, and then it trickles down all the way through the legitimate supply chain to the pharmacies, to the end consumers. Now, counterfeit medicine may be something that you're just now learning about, but I'm sure you're all aware that healthcare costs in the US have been skyrocketing, trending towards about 20% of GDP by the end of the decade. There are a lot of middlemen in the pharma industry. Pharmaceuticals will sometimes change hands up to a dozen times as they move from various countries. Merck, for example, they reduced their prices last year by about 3%, yet their prices to end consumers went up by 8%. So overall, an 11% shift up because of inefficiencies in the supply chain. Pharma is a huge middleman industry, and throughout history, we've seen industries that have a lot of middlemen be disrupted by technology, and that is happening right now in the pharmaceutical industry. And it's going to be good for consumers, and it's going to bring prices down. My name is Rob Tordy, and I'm the COO of Authentag, and we build software to solve these problems. Our patented software platform creates a data and communications wall around the pharmaceutical industry. It makes it really difficult for bad actors to participate and transact with legitimate industry participants. In the old system I just described, you had to trust that the person that you were transacting with, or the company that you were transacting with, was legitimate. Now, you can just verify it. You can scan the products that you've received, and we'll run a verification all the way to the manufacturer and verify that that was actually made by who said they made it. We can also know who touched it all along the way, who has it in their possession, and this gives a whole new level of control to all of our clients. We weave together a full chain of custody for any item so you know who has it, who touched it, and where it is. And we allow machine learning and AI to patrol and sit on top of this whole system so that it can identify abnormalities and suspicious activity. And then it can flag that and quarantine it, and we can apply a human being to go actually apply some interdiction and to solve the problem. And we do this all in real time with sub-second response times. Secondly, we help companies comply with the law, and we can provide auditors with a full trail for any product and its movement throughout its entire life cycle. And lastly, we help our clients optimize and pull a ton of costs out of their business. When you start labeling products individually, you can start managing your inventory a lot cleaner and a lot more efficiently, and you can start pulling out up to anywhere from 25 to 30% of your cost structure. So we're a small company, and it is a tough road out there if you're a small company trying to sell big pieces of software into multi-billion-dollar companies. They want to make sure that you're going to be around for the next couple years, and there's a lot of challenges. So we've developed strategic relationships with two of the biggest consulting firms in the world, in Accenture and Deloitte. We've been teamed with them both for over a year. Accenture even went as far as giving us a 10-person development team to help us build out the product for 5 months, and that product is now ready for prime time. At the moment, we're engaged in the enterprise sale process with a number of large pharmaceutical companies, and we expect beta rollouts coming at the end of this year as the next phase of regulation hits. So how do we make money? We're a software as a service business. Our customers sign up for an annual subscription, and we receive monthly recurring revenue for the life of the contract. Our base software platform costs around $65,000 a year and can range up to $1 million a year depending on the level of security that our clients are looking for. And as a SaaS business, we have fat gross margins north of 90%. In November, as a result of this new legislation that's multi-phase, multi-year, there's going to be about 4,000 companies who are going to be looking for and needing a software solution that they've never paid for in the past. By 2021, there's 8,500 new companies being added, and by 2023, it's another 15,000 companies who all need a software solution. So there's this big regulatory forcing function which is driving our sales. There are a multitude of use cases where our technology is relevant. Our go-to-market strategy is to attack the pharma industry, prove it out, and then expanding vertical by vertical into new areas. Hemp and cannabis, very similar industry to pharmaceuticals. The Department of Defense, they can't keep anything straight with regards to inventory. And medical devices are another industry that we have already had success in. It's a very experienced senior leadership team. Stuart Corby, he's our wizard and our man behind the curtain. There's probably not another human being on planet Earth who has solved a logistically complex problem like this before, and he's already done it in the financial services industry. He was the head of electronic and algorithmic trading at UBS in Asia. He sent the first electronic trade ever from Hong Kong to London, as well as from London to the US, to New York. The similarities between the financial services industry and what they went through at the dawn of the electronic trading revolution and the pharma industry right now really can't be overstated. It's a really, really similar problem that we're solving. Scott Berg, he was a former U.S. Naval aviator, F-18 pilot. He was a weapons and tactical instructor at Top Gun. He was later in the U.S. intelligence community. He left the U.S. intelligence community. He built the system of record for all 17 U.S. government intelligence agencies. Basically, anytime any analyst in the U.S. or the Allies access any piece of information, they do so through his system. Me, I spent the bulk of my career at a company called Alex Partners, helping companies like General Motors, AIG, Kodak, Restructure optimize their businesses and get themselves on a path of growth for the future. Essentially what we're doing is we're cross-pollinating decades-old bank-grade technology, and we're bringing it into the pharmaceutical industry. At Authentag, we're disrupting the global pharma industry. We're helping our clients rip out a ton of costs from their business, all the while saving lives and combating this global epidemic. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. I'm curious, what is a blockchain needed for in this? And then maybe could you just like make it a little more concrete, how the product works? Like, is it showing up on like a label on the outside of set of pills? Is it somehow tied into the pill itself? I didn't quite catch that. I apologize.
Yeah, the regulation is it's pretty interesting and complex. So the regulation states that every packet of medicine needs to have a 2D data matrix on it, really similar to a QR code. Essentially, that's mandated that will be on every package. That's gone through in 2018. That was the first phase of the regulation. It was called serialization. As we're moving into the next phases, it's impacting returns, product that's returned from the dispensary to the manufacturer. So essentially what we do is we take that QR code, and that becomes its own block. We create a block for every single product, and then we chain them together. Every time it moves, we create an additional piece of data. So we have a private permission blockchain that we've built. Our software has been patented in 2013. We've kind of grown up alongside the blockchain industry, but by no fault of our own. Our founders were using these technologies in the early 2000s in different industries. It's just so happened that blockchain has become really sexy in the last 3 to 5 years. So essentially we create our own chain for each product and we chain that together. And we create our own 32-digit alphanumerical randomly generated, which is kind of the parent meta tag, which sits at the top. And then we can essentially tack on endless pieces of data to that to increase product visibility.
What is your key priority in the next 6 months to a year?
Yeah, our key priority is around capital raising and adding sales staff. There's no one on our team that has experience within the healthcare industry and specifically selling enterprise pieces of technology into large pharma. So we need to, and those people aren't cheap. That's about a $400,000 a year salary. We'd like to onboard at least 3 of them. And then the ability to support all of the staff, Accenture, support all of the onboarding. We're going to need a core team. Accenture and Deloitte will be providing implementation services for our product. So we have all of their consultants to deploy at will. We can onboard any size company, but we will still need a couple of core pods of engineers that we need to onboard.
Are you currently based here in Jackson?
I'm coming up on my 3rd winter in Jackson. The rest of the team is distributed. We're proving out a distributed model. Stu, we're looking to bring over to the U.S. subject to financing. He spent his last 3 winters in Salt Lake City, and that could either be a hub for him or potentially here. But we'll be looking to add administrative staff and potentially sales and finance staff here.
Such a compelling market and opportunity here. Can you talk about how it's gets traction? Like, have you made the first sale or have the companies lined up to sign up, or is that a matter of getting the salespeople first?
We are pre-revenue. We're currently engaged in dialogue with probably 24 large pharma companies. We have 2 specifically that Deloitte has walked us into that they have current relationships with and master services agreements with. One is a $30 billion a year large pharmaceutical company. Another is a 65,000 person healthcare organization that is interested in tracking their pharmaceuticals, but also tracking about like $1.2 billion of their medical tissue samples. So it's kind of an ancillary business, but our technology would be easily fitted for that as well. So we're looking to nail one of those 2, get a beta program in place before year end, and then we can really start proving out the implementation as well as the rollout, and then be able to scale that on a larger scale as we grow.
And is there competition? Are there a lot of other people vying for this same blockchain development?
Yeah, I would say that the pharmaceutical industry is the battleground for enterprise blockchain currently in any industry. SAP is currently a competitor, and IBM is a competitor. Another company called TraceLink, which is a Goldman Sachs-backed company, is also in the space and competing. I would say the differentiator between them and us is we've solved this problem before. This is a non-core add-on that they're trying to add for their customers in order to satisfy a customer need, but it's a critical problem that is very different from what they typically do. IBM specifically has a different strategy. They're trying to come in probably around 2023 with a full-scale track and trace solution. Our strategy is to be implementing and rolling out solutions along the way that help companies comply with the law at all stages, so that we'll have a track record of success when IBM tries to come in 2023.
I'm curious, to the extent you can talk about it, in the current dialogues you're having with prospective customers, what sort of pushback, questions, resistance, what's the nature of any kind of resistance that you're getting? Is it, I don't know much about this area, but there seems to me that there'd be an issue around, what is going to be the eventual standardized platform that's going to do this? How are those conversations progressing?
Yeah, the industry has been working together for the last few years under the HDA, the Healthcare Distribution Alliance. We came into this industry about 18 months ago. They had 7 failed proof of concepts on building out a industry-wide technological solution. They have a lot of complexities because of antitrust, which the law mandates that they all have to work together, but then the antitrust says you can't work together. So it creates this situation where they've developed essentially community standards that are public. Any solution provider can access those and build out any solution provided it meets these requirements. And then you're going to see interoperability amongst all of the various solution providers that will need to essentially manage their own clients and run verifications and anti-counterfeiting checks. But they're also going to need to be able to bounce questions off of every other solution provider in their network in order to get a full picture and to provide an accurate answer of, is this product legitimate or not? So it's been a really interesting industry. We've kind of taken the approach of, okay, let's understand what the community standards are and understand how to be interoperable. And then we went dark for 6 months and we launched a product last October, which was the first product that this industry had ever seen. So that has been our strategy.
So Rob, just because it's compelling, right? But the thing it's always like the chicken or an egg of, like, what is it going to actually take to get this beta? Like, because you could almost like give it away to get some action, but it strikes me as it's very hard to kind of get them over the line.
Yeah, for sure. As a small company with less than 10 employees, working to convince a large pharmaceutical manufacturer that they should trust us with one of their most critical problems, which is the movement of their product throughout space and time, is definitely a challenge. And that's where the relationships with Accenture and Deloitte come in. They've gone out, they've canvassed, they've looked at SAP, they looked at TraceLink, they looked at MediLedger, all of our competitors, and they've determined that we are better, faster, and cheaper than all of them. So we have that social validation from those companies that we're relying on.
And in their lab, have they put you in so that it can be demoed in a way that, gets some buy-in?
Yeah, that's essentially the process we're in right now is going through situations with live data from potential customers where we have dummy data that we can show. We can show the speed of the network and all of that and the speed of response times. Now we rely on what's called an EPCIS file, which is an industry standard that they use in order to transact electronically and essentially do their billing. So we just take that file, which is a really unique way that we've built our business, and then we can run basically all of that. So it's something that they're already producing, and we can very easily upload into our system to prove it. So thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Sorry to interrupt, but we're trying to keep it tight here. And with that, we have a few more minutes. We'd like to hear from some past presenters, but panel, would you please meet me in the lobby to make some decisions?
All right, guys, we are getting really close to cocktail hour, but you still have to vote. So first of all, how amazing is that? That's all happening in our little community. It's the variation, the unbelievable sort of risk-taking drive for these folks to do this is incredible. So while the panel's going out to decide who wins the grand prize, you get to vote on the audience prize. And we're going to put this up here. And in the meantime, what we like to do at this event is we like to have some of the past presenters, and all of these presenters presented at Pitch Day last year, and they're going to come on up and just give you a quick 2-minute or so update on what they've done with their company since they presented the last time. But in the meantime, please take a look at who you want to vote for. Look, it's SC vote, all one word, space, and then the number of the company that you want to vote for. So please, you can only vote once, but let's make sure everybody votes. Let's get an audience award winner. And while we're waiting, we have 3 presenters in short order. The first one is Irene Griswold-Prenner from Nitrome Biosciences. She was the 2018 Audience Choice Award winner. And without further ado, let's go, Irene.
Hi. Last year, I introduced this audience to a company called Nitrome Biosciences. We just started at that point in time with the seed round in which our goals were to identify what we call the gunk-producing enzyme, which is an enzyme that causes the pathology that occurs in Parkinson's disease. The second goal was to identify compounds that inhibited the gunk-producing enzyme. I'm happy to say at this point in time, we've both identified the enzyme and developed compounds that inhibit the enzyme. What this allows us to do is now go to the stage where we can actually develop a drug to try to slow down or halt Parkinson's disease. So with this success, we've actually decided to go forward to a Series A round earlier than we had originally expected. And we can also have the potential, we found out when we identified this gunk-producing enzyme that there's also a class of enzymes that participate potentially in a number of aging-dependent diseases. So we're now actually starting our Series A round. We're at the point of getting term sheets at this point in time with the goal of now developing a drug for Parkinson's disease to slow it down, but also to see if we can actually develop drugs against our related enzymes that might slow down disease in a number of additional aging-dependent diseases. So that's basically where we're at. I also wanted to bring up that we've been very fortunate to be in Wyoming and in Jackson. A number of our investors at the seed round were from Wyoming and from Jackson itself, and we just this summer had an intern in our labs that helped us do a lot of the work that we are characterizing at this point in time to identify compounds that inhibit this enzyme that was from the Jackson Hole area. So thank you very much.
Again, take out your phones and vote. I'll keep mentioning that. Another thing I want to mention before we bring out the next presenters is the whole idea of this is networking. So if you've got some contacts for the presenters, for the finalists that have all presented here tonight, when you have the opportunity, when it is cocktail hour in about 7 or 8 minutes, hopefully, go out there, let them know, give them the contacts, network, see what you can do, because as you heard from Irene, it's amazing the success these companies can have when they get local investors and local people involved, and they network and great things happen. So next, we've got, if any of you are familiar with Explore, which is a great clothing company, we've got Kaylee Geek and Carissa Aiken, and they were the 2018 Bob Arndt Community Caretaker Award winners. So without further ado, Kaylee and Carissa.
Is this on? Oh. Hi, everyone. I'm Kaylee Geek.
And I'm Carissa Aiken.
First of all, we'd like to congratulate all the presenters tonight. You all did a wonderful job. It takes a lot of courage and determination to get up here and pitch your ideas. Congratulations. Carissa and I are the sisters behind Explore, a merino wool clothing company for children and babies. Our mission is really to inspire the future generation of nature advocates. We're doing this by creating engaging and useful content for parents to get their kids outside, as well as producing high-quality clothing that's not only better for our children, but better for the planet and easier for parents to care for. We're also creating a community of like-minded parents that are really passionate about getting outside with their children. Last year, we were extremely honored to receive the Bob Arndt Community Caretaker Award, and this awarded us a spot on the team's mentoring program. So for the past year, we've been meeting with a group of MIT-trained mentors, and this has been extremely helpful in Explore's first year of business.
Kaylee, I think we should also mention that after a year and a half in business, we're still sisters.
Still friends.
Both the Teams program and the pitch day, going through the pitch day process, really helped us through the seed funding round and bring on external investment. It was huge for Kaylee and I. We also gained the confidence to pitch our business, and we pitched to the Wyoming Business Council last January. And we received the Kickstart grant fund for $50,000. So that's helped us build our team and go through our first run of manufacturing for our adventure blanket, our neck warmers and hats for kids, and also finalize our prototype of our base layers, which will hopefully be going into manufacturing with this fall. So stay tuned for that. We just want to say thank you so much to the entire Silicon Couloir community and everyone out here tonight for supporting local entrepreneurs and local businesses. We couldn't have got this far without you.
We will also be at the Taking It to the Streets event this Sunday on the square, so we hope to see all of you there as well. Thank you so much.
All right, before we bring out the next updater, you guys all know what time of the year it is, right? It's Old Bills. We are not a government organization. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. Every program that we offer is free to the entrepreneurs. We have a range of programs. We have a mentor teams program where we now have about 40 experienced mentors who volunteer their time coaching somewhere in the vicinity of 18 to 20 ventures, companies. It's actually, we licensed this program from MIT. It's a very structured program. But it's really been an incredible success. It's become the backbone of who we are. We have an angel investor group where we don't want to just incubate companies from the get-go and help entrepreneurs learn. We want to help them finish the journey. So we have an angel group where we get accredited investors together with qualified companies that we vet. And we let the companies present, and we hope that at the end of the day, I believe last year we funded through the Angel Group $1.5 million worth of seed and Series A money to qualifying companies. So that's something that, again, is free for companies to come and do. We have the Startup Intensive program that's done with CWC, and Sandy Hesser's in the audience, and Liza both run that program. It's an incredible program that teaches entrepreneurs not just how to be entrepreneurs, but I think how to be in touch with themselves and their values and what they really want to do in life. And it's been an incredibly successful program in and of itself. We do chance meetings every Monday. Our next chance meeting is actually Monday. It's usually the first Monday of the month, but that was Labor Day last week. It's a networking event, just casual, drinks at the Rose, get to meet people. We have several companies, many companies, I think, that have actually hired employees that they just randomly met at chance meetings, those type of things. So all of those programs are free but to the public, and they're free to the entrepreneurs. They cost us money. So we have two programs. You can donate as an individual to Old Bills. Obviously, just go find Silicon Couloir when it's time to donate. We have what we call our trustee program, where for bigger donors, they can commit to a 3-year cycle of donating, contributing at a specific level, and that gives us sort of the annuity income stream that we have, so we can make sure that we can prepare these programs and keep them going into the future. So I know you're getting a lot of pleas for Old Bills. It's that time of the year. We have so many nonprofits doing incredible work. You know, I did talk to Catherine Conover not recently, and it was interesting. Her comment was, one of the reasons we have all these nonprofits is because we don't have the private sector doing the things that these nonprofits are trying to do. And we're trying to build that private sector here in this community, and we're trying to build that sector in a way that's in harmony with everything that makes this place special. So please support us if you can. And with that being said, that was pretty long-winded, huh, Ian? Long wait. The next presenter and updater is Ian McIver from Job Applix. He was a 2018 Pitch Day participant, so bring it on, Ian.
Thank you. So I'll make this short and sweet. I'm sure everybody wants to get out of here. I do want to say that Pitch Day made us, as a company, it made us real. It made us real in our own minds and really changed our attitude and vastly increased our ability to move forward. The other thing I want to say before I rattle off what we've been up to for the last year is everybody involved with the Silicon Couloir organization has been very generous and very giving of their time and attention. You know, anytime we've needed it, they get right back to us. So it's a great resource for entrepreneurs. So thank you guys for that. So a lot has happened for our business in the last year. We recruited new talent and doubled the size of our team. We researched, vetted, and hired an exceptional legal team. We rebuilt our entire software application from the ground up and launched our alpha version. We've acquired customers across multiple industries nationwide. Right now, we're still just in the United States, but we're kind of looking into ways that we can change that. We sought, selected, and secured a partnership and mentorship under contract with a Silicon Valley home run king, and we began a fundraising round this summer. Just last week, we closed a deal with a veteran software sales team in the Silicon Slopes area, not to be confused with Silicon Couloir down in Utah. And we're very excited. You know, each week we have a new development. And, you know, we go through that emotional roller coaster that I think all entrepreneurs go through. It wasn't easy. Oftentimes we needed help, and help was difficult to find. That made going it alone and succeeding all the more rewarding. And also we put a bunch of favors owed in the bag that we'll probably never be able to pay back, but we'll certainly try if we get there. All of these things are bells and whistles. None of them matter. Completing a startup checklist doesn't matter. Only one thing does, and that's customer success. We've created extreme value for our clients. In more than one case, we've increased job applicant numbers for their business by over 300% in the first 6 months. We've lowered their costs associated with hiring. We've done that consistently with every customer that's had our service for more than 90 days. And we've changed their hiring experience positively. All of our clients have reported a reduction in overall turnover, and we've worked really hard to get them an even more significant time savings just through using the service. We're also doing that at a price point that any business can afford, and we're very proud of that. In closing, if you're an entrepreneur, I want to say this. What nobody tells you is that everything will take twice as long as you think. So bear that in mind as you move forward. And thank you again for the opportunity. And, you know, I hope this gets bigger and bigger every year.
Okay, so it's that time. And I just want to let everybody know that the awards are, one company can win all 3 awards. I don't know if that's ever really happened before, but we don't limit. The panel picks the winner that they think is the panelist choice winner. The audience, you guys make your vote, and you get to vote. And then the Silicon Couloir team actually picks the last Bob Arndt Community Caretaker Award winner as well. So I think without further ado, we're going to ask Lexi Borselman to come on out. This is kind of like the Oscars a little bit, right? You get to announce.
Awesome.
Okay. Great. So you will make the announcement of the panelist choice.
Yo ho ho, me hearties, how are you doing? I have the great honor of presenting the Panelist Choice Award grand prize of $7,500 to Jack Hartpence from Pow Water.
All right. Awesome. Very cool. I don't even know what else to say. Awesome. All right. We are now looking at the Audience Choice Award winner. And to present the Audience Choice Award winner, we have one of our sponsors from BXE Capital, the principal, Josh Finkelman, to come on up and tell us who the audience loved. Come on, Josh.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it. So I have the distinguished honor of presenting the Audience Choice Award. I'll do a drum roll. All right. Tana Hoffman, Mountainist. Congratulations.
All right, it's just about cocktail time and time to network a little bit. The last award that we have is the Community Caretaker Award, the Bob Arndt Community Caretaker Award. And to come up and present that award, someone who knew Bob very well. He's one of our board members. He's been a coach. And by the way, again, before we make that last announcement, the coaches, there's coaches sprinkled throughout the audience. I can't go through all the names. They're in the booklet. But the coaches who helped all of these presenters do what they do and make the incredible presentations they did today, they don't get enough credit. They're anonymous. They're doing it because they love what they do. And so really, we should have a round of applause for all the coaches, please. Thank you. I had Josh up there. Sorry, Josh. Wrong picture I had before. All right, and so to present the Community Caretaker Award, Nathan Adams. You know who it is?
Yeah, I'm good. Good afternoon, my name is Nathan Adams. As Gary mentioned, I'm a co-founder and board member of Silicon Couloir. The Bob Arndt Community Caretaker Award goes to the Pitch Day entrepreneur or venture that best embodies the mission and core values of Silicon Couloir. This award was created to honor our friend, early collaborator, and former board member, Bob Arndt. Silicon Couloir's mission is to align entrepreneurship with community vision to promote a diverse economy and healthy environment for current and future generations. One of our core values is community caretaking, that is promoting a culture of stewardship, leadership, participation, collaboration, and citizenship that inspires and enriches our mountain town community while protecting the natural attributes that make it so special. Bob lived his life guided by the community caretaking principle. He was an entrepreneur, former owner of the Whole Grocer, and built companies and supported initiatives that made our community healthy, strong, and a better place for everyone. The winner of this year's Bob Arndt Community Caretaker Award is Pow Water.
Really good job up there. Congratulations. All right, that wraps up the show inside the auditorium tonight. Thank you so much for coming. There is free food and free drinks. Each of you, if you got a ticket, you get a free beer or wine, and then there's a cash bar. Please go out, please mingle with the presenters, let them know how much you enjoyed it, ask them questions, put them in touch with people, support us, and keep coming back. Thank you so much.